million. Their schooling situation.
Young Black and Latino men are experiencing the negative effects of the natural racism embedded in society through school institutions and a poverty-ridden economy on the east side of Chicago. These structural systems that have been established through governmental powers and a ruling class creates inequality that forces an unreasonable percentage of Black and Latino youth to become members and victims of gang violence. In this presentation, we will analyze why young Latino and Black males are more subjected to gang violence than other groups of people in Chicago, and produce some solutions that can help resolve this issue. When it comes to the statistics of victims of gang violence in Chicago, the ages of 17 through 25 make up 45.5% of the victims that are being killed due to gang-related deaths. 90% of the victims are male. When race is taken into consideration of these victims, 75.3% of these victims are Black and 18.9% are Latino. The other two accounted for races are white and other, and their total only adds up to a lowly 5.8%. What makes this data extremely disappointing is that according to a 2010 census, only 33% of Chicago's population was classified as Black. So this shows that there is clearly a racial inequality that is happening with the victims of gang violence affecting a small percentage of the population. Offenders of gang violence between the ages of 17 through 25 make up 53.22% of prosecutors. This data shows correlation to the data of victims of gang violence affecting young people, so obviously something is forcing these issues to target the youth of Chicago's residents. Offenders of gang violence are 71.3% Black and 24.6% Hispanic, with white and other only making up 4.1%. From this data, it becomes easier to understand the racial realism of the Black and Latino group being affected by this terrible issue is more than just a coincidence, but is created through institutions.
Housing in Chicago is one of the most troublesome parts of living in Chicago. They only make $47,000 a year, and housing in Chicago costs around $500,000. Their schooling situation is also is troublesome. They don't have too much schools, so a lot of people don't go to schools. Also, their schools are very run down, and their classes are very, very bad. A lot of students drop out because they don't have good teachers, or they don't have teachers at all. And this is due to material determinism. Because of this, it causes them to join gangs.
A reasonable solution to help many minorities, specifically African Americans and Latinos, to overcome gang violence in Chicago is to provide better schooling because Latinos and African Americans are isolated in very poor neighborhood conditions and have the fewest resources available and have no opportunity for investment due to the lack of education being taught in these institutions. By providing better education in poverty communities for Chicago's Latinos and Black citizens for them to prosper, these two ethnicity groups will become more successful with better education being taught in institutions to find a career in school and escape poverty. This will eliminate the dropout rate of Latinos and Blacks in institutions dramatically. This is by decreasing the number of students leaving school with better education for Blacks and Latinos. Last year, 3.8% of Blacks and Latinos dropped out of school due to the lack of education being taught. By having improved institutions for Latinos and African Americans and in poverty communities, this will help solve the gang violence that is happening in the city of Chicago by having individuals of Latino and Black descent to stay in school longer due to the better education system that is going on for Chicago and having less Latinos and Blacks joining the gangs of Chicago with less crime occurring in poverty areas. By having better schooling for Latinos and Blacks, they will finally have the structural determinism they need to benefit from these schools and have the opportunity to better themselves for a positive future. By Chicago focusing on improving the conditions of having a better schooling for education in poverty areas, both ethnicity groups of blacks and Latinos will be able to prosper in finding the future and career in school to help them escape poverty, as well as having less young individuals in gangs due to the improvement of public schools. Chicago is still trying to improve their city by offering programs specifically designed for Latinos and blacks to have opportunities for a career they could choose from. This program will get minorities that are mostly black and Latino descent to get involved by helping them find a career path they would like to do in these programs throughout Chicago. This program will help them start their lives in a positive way if they didn't finish school or have financial issues due to poverty. Latinos and blacks will have the material determinism they finally need to have an advantage to escape poverty and to change their lives for a positive future rather than having Latinos and blacks ending up in gangs. Since the federal government in our nation is the cultural hegemon, they will have the power and ability to support Chicago with financial aid to help them boost the economy of Chicago. With the help from the federal government providing capital to Chicago, Chicago can help poor communities that are struggling by funding them with financial aid to boost their communities and to rebuild them. Such funding will help Latinos and African Americans prosper greatly, especially for the young individuals in Chicago. By Chicago funding these poor communities with money, the economy of Chicago will increase for its citizens by having more jobs available in these communities that are being rebuilt, as well as locating the resources needed to prosper. As well, this will lessen people from joining the gangs of Chicago. Chicago will still continue to suffer from gang violence unless we as a society stand up to face this issue that Chicago is still facing. If we can improve the city of Chicago with resources, opportunity, and power for its citizens, specifically for African Americans and Latinos, to escape poverty and have less gangs in the city, not only we can better Chicago, but we can also solve similar issues in the nation. If we can just improve the nation of how we did for Chicago, we will see a positive future for generations to come to end the violence that we still face as of today.